Hello and welcome in to this week's edition of the Walkthrough. I'm your host, intern Joe Macheca. Big week in South Carolina athletics. Cyrus committed to the class of 2025. He is now a Gamecock. You got a wide receiver, Mike Furry, in his room going to work there with Cyrus. So I'll be sure to talk about that. Also, EA Sports College Football 25 comes out this week. I will be sure to have a stream next week. We should have some guest play callers and stuff going for next week's edition of the Walkthrough. Jeremy Jones checking in. What's going on, my guy? Happy Sunday to you and everyone else checking in this Sunday evening. But yeah, no, Lex Cyrus, we'll get right into it. And then we'll talk about some Media Day stuff because, again, Media Day stuff will be kind of the chalk. But yeah, let's take a look at Lex Cyrus, his wide receiver in the class of 2025 from Harrisburg, PA. 4-star, 90 overall rating. Really good player, right? I've got his huddle. I'm gonna take a look. We'll take a look at his tape from his junior season. 5'10", 175. Doesn't have the most height, but again, really dynamic playmaker. Coming into the class of 2025, beat out offers. I mean, Penn State's the biggest one, right? And still the RPM still has a pretty big lean towards Penn State, which again is not going anywhere because again, Cyrus is committed to South Carolina, but again, as soon as guys commit, it tends to lean towards the other ways. Jeremy, check it in. Can't wait for Media Days tomorrow. Yeah, Media Days is going to be awesome. Mike Uva and Jack Veltri are in Dallas covering it. So it'll be a lot of fun. We'll talk about Media Days and stuff like that. And I'll pose a couple questions for you guys to answer in the comments too. Is like, what do you want to hear from guys at Media Days, right? So we'll get there. William Jones checking in. What's going on? William Dean says, nice get. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm about to turn on the tape here. But yeah, Lex Cyrus, again, it goes to show you what Mike Furry has been doing on the recruiting trail. He's off to a hot start. He's gotten a lot of guys that have, a really, 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 really high motor. And so, it should be fun, right? And right as soon as the class of 2025 started to take a dip, Shamari Earls decommitted last week, if you guys can remember that. Decommitted from South Carolina going to Georgia. So everyone was kind of out on this 2025 class. Well, then Mike Furry goes and gets this kid from PA. It's a steal out of Pennsylvania because again, you're going up there, you're battling, with Penn State. Penn State, they have the whiteout game, the Mo Bamba, if you will. And so there's so much to like as I'm getting a full screen ad here. But yeah, there's so much to like with Lex Cyrus. And again, I'm going to pull up his tape here as well. Get his tape going here in a second. Make sure I get that pulled up. But yeah, Lex Cyrus, really, really nice addition. I think he's going to, pair well with everybody in this wide receiver room. I mean, you look at who he joins, Mazio Bennett. A lot of guys with competition. Nick Harbor's going to obviously make a kid like Cyrus better, but I think the one thing that is, I guess, missing from this wide receiver room right now is some size, right? Cyrus 5'10", decently big for a wide receiver. He's up there, but a little bit on the smaller side. So again, you're gonna have to rely on Harbor here to get the job done. But pulling up Cyrus's huddle real quick. Take a look at his junior season tape. It is pretty legit. See if we can make this full screen here. There we go. You can see, I mean, just look at the speed off the edge. There's a little bit of buffer too, but I mean, really, really dynamic in the open field. This highlight's really nice. But yeah, this is Lex Cyrus, class of 2025, commit at wide receiver out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Again, South Carolina getting him over Penn State, Rutgers. This is a big get, wide receiver room. Stutter, stop, gets it and goes. Really, really good in the open field. I mean, just look at those wheels, man. It's pretty legit. Committed with on three. I believe it was Hayes Fawcett that broke the news on a live stream. But yeah, so I mean, this catch is ridiculous. Yeah, it's huge. William Jones says Cole Thompson said South Carolina's gonna fool somebody. Yeah, I think so, right? Talking about just football in general, right? I think this roster is good enough to scare some people. And I'm gonna get into obviously college football 25 as that drops tomorrow. I'll be sure to have some streams for y'all, coming up here soon of it. But yeah, I agree. And Jason, I'll get into this too. We can get into some more hypotheticals. Talked about them all last week, but again, watching Lex Cyrus here, this tape of 2025 linebacker or 2025 wide receiver, excuse me. Again, this is another big get. This is the most recent commitment for your South Carolina Gamecocks. So much speed on the outside. This punt return's crazy. After watching this film earlier, I mean, he just takes off. Goodbye. That's legit, man. It's SEC speed right there. So again, Lex Cyrus, class of 2025, big get, big get. And again, that highlight tape goes on for another 9 minutes or so. So you guys got to see it. Lex Cyrus again, really, really nice addition to the class of 2025. So Jason, getting into it, how do you think we're going to do this year in football? It's kind of right now, right? It's the off season. It's hypothetical season. Media days starts tomorrow, so that'll be a whole lot of fun. You'll get to hear from Luke Doty, Boogie Huntley, and I believe it's Nick Eamon-Wari was the last guy selected for SEC media days. But yeah, media days coming up. It's going to be good, right? So, but how do I think we are going to do in football this year? It's kind of a big question, right? Because I mean, sitting here in July, halfway through July, the month of July, I think it could go either way, right? I think it could go, it could be an 8-9 win season, right? And with a bowl game, it could shape up to be that way, right? You just need progression. Now, again, what's working against you is your schedule. Excuse me. And so I don't think your schedule is doing you any favors. You've got to play the best of the best, but that's the nature of this league. And yeah, Jason, I agree. I think they are good enough to go to a bowl. They just, again, you just can't lose the games that you're, supposed to win. Plain and simple, right? And now I think they're with how stacked that this schedule is. I don't know if there are many games that they're like realistically like supposed to win. Like it's like, all right, like they're going in as favorites, but again, you absolutely need to go to a bowl this season for sure. Absolutely, that should be kind of the expectation. And I've been talking about expectations for this fan base for the last couple of weeks and whatnot, just with the Kingston firing. And believe me, I've come to grown to know that things are different around here when it comes to expectations. So I'm sure the fan base feels that a bowl game is certainly in store or at the bare minimum, right? So now if they don't get to a bowl game, that also starts to beg the question: is like, all right, is Shane going to be on the hot seat here? I don't think so necessarily if he doesn't make a bowl, but the conversation certainly is moved to next season being one where you do need to respond. Jeremy, again, I'm going to pull this up here in a second. But yes, there are going to media days. I'll get the exact times and everything for all that. But again, going to a bowl should be the bare minimum. It really should be the bare minimum. Again, and we'll see what they say at SEC media days. I'm fully expecting them to come in, with certainly with a chip on their shoulder, because I don't expect many of the writers at media days to pick them very high in the SEC. Probably going to be slated around 13 or 14. But so it's going to be interesting again. But I think that it has to be. It's got to be at the very least a bowl. Dustin says Sellers will be a top 3 SEC quarterback. Yeah, I think so. Right, everything that we've been hearing coming from inside the building says that Lenore Sellers is going to be the big man on campus, all of it. And so I think certainly with this year, with the QB competition being as wide open as it is in the SEC, Lenore's can make some things happen, right? The biggest thing for me, at least with Lenore's, is can he bring the extra element that can lead you to win games, right? The extra. We know how talented he is. We know all of that, and I know with Spencer Rattler it was a little hard to kind of gauge that because there wasn't enough, if you will, there are too many injuries is what I'm trying to say here. Apologies, I got the hiccups, so I'm dealing with something a little bit here. But moving along. But yeah, no, I think Lenore's could be a top 3 SEC quarterback. Absolutely. You need a lot of things to go right if he's going to be a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. Because you got to think about it. I think Carson Beck's obviously up there, right? Got a couple natties. I think Carson Beck's number 1. Nico, I'm a Leva. Nico, Tennessee could slide up. I think that kid's going to be really good. And as much as this fan base hates to hear it, I do think Nico's going to be a problem. And you also have Brady Cook coming back at Mizzou. Brady Cook was one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. So top 3 is a stretch. You got to win some games, but certainly top 5 in my book. And again, you can be a top 5 quarterback in the SEC pretty easily. You got to win. You got to win. And that's, I guess, the one domino holding Lenore's back is, just he doesn't have any, wins yet. So he's got to get on that. But if they're winning games, absolutely, Lenore Sellers is going to be is going to go really far. Yeah, Jason, it should be on the SEC network. Again, not sure what times. I'm not finding any times at the moment. As Jeremy goes, SEC network for sure for all of your media day stuff, and we'll have coverage here on Gamecock Central as always. Mike Uva and Jack Veltri are down in Dallas for for media days as Texas is, Texas and OU both joining the SEC. So 2 more additions to media days and traveling a little bit further. So Mike and Jack are already down there. So super exciting for them. And we'll have all the coverage here on Gamecock Central. So be sure to tune in because, again, Jack, Mike do fantastic jobs. So they're the GOATs with that. So, yeah, I did want to pull up one thing as I get to shuffling the screens here. There was a screenshot from Hayes Fawcett, National On3 writer, and I'm sure a lot of those guys and the beta testers have gotten to play this new college football game already. But a screenshot that is kind of going viral is Nick Harbor in the new game, right? All these creators are saying Nick Harbor is the cheat code, if you will. He is the quote unquote the hack, the one player that you want to pull out of the portal, if you will. So I think it's huge, and I'm pulling it up here. Where's this screenshot? Let me see if I can. Yeah, here. I'm going to pull it up in a separate window because Hayes Fawcett tweeted about it. But so, a little bit of NCAA football news. Nick Harbor, apparently the most overpowered player in college football 25. 99 speed, 99 acceleration, 98 jumping, and 79 strength, which is the strongest wide receiver in the game. It's pretty legit. It's pretty awesome that EA is throwing some love to South Carolina and Nick Harbor. Do I think it's right? Yeah. And it's spot on. I mean, Nick Harbor's arguably one of the fastest men in college football. I'm sure if you got him down into a track style race or something like that, like you definitely could argue that 99 speed, but also too, I mean, 99 acceleration. It's all of the track stuff going forward, right? And the 98 jumping's also ridiculous, and 79 strength, strongest wide receiver in the game is pretty legit. I mean, he is going to moss so many people in the online or in this dynasty that I start for the walkthrough as we approach football and whatnot. Hopefully I can make it a recurring series. But again, I will have EA Sports College Football 25 content for this show coming at you next week. We will do our first dynasty live stream, get all that set up, and then we should have some guest play callers too, working on that as things go along. But yeah, so a lot of fun stuff. But yes, Nick Harbor is apparently making headlines as the most sought after transfer portal target, most sought after player in college football 25. So yeah, and speaking on Nick Harbor, Batman Gummies, who's most likely going to be our wide receiver one? I think it's going to be Harbor, right? He's on the fence between a wide receiver two and a wide receiver one. What gets me Batman Gummies for Nick Harbor being the wide receiver one is just experience, right? I mean, he played wide receiver one for a little bit last season when guys were banged up, but you have some portal guys that have a lot more experience than Harbor. Harbor is the number one target, I think, in terms of wide receiver in this room. Now, if it comes to moving around to the slot or whatnot, I don't know, but I think he is the most talented wide receiver in this room. If that classifies as being wide receiver run or wide receiver one, in which in my eyes it kind of does. I don't know if they'll do the math in the depth chart. But yeah, so Batman Gummy says, or William Jones, wow, yeah, I know it's crazy. I can't wait to crack open this video game. It's gonna be a whole lot of fun tomorrow. Everything kicks off. Should have a live stream of the game for you guys next week on this show. Should be a lot of fun. But yeah, no, it should be sweet. Batman Gummies, I think the wide receiver room is a lot better than last season, TBH. Yeah, I think so too. Now, if you had a fully healthy Juice Wells, and again, I know that name's a little taboo out here, right? But Juice Wells, if he were fully healthy, man, you could have been really good. But nah, I think this season you added some depth, some experience. Gage Larvadane has a lot of speed. Jared Brown, a lot of speed. And then you add some dogs like Mazio Bennett to keep the competition up, because Mazio Bennett is fighting for every single rep and everything that he can earn in college football, because he's true freshman. And if you've ever watched Mazio Bennett play a game, and I think I said this last week, if you've ever watched Mazio Bennett play a game of football, you know exactly what I mean when I say like the kid competes till the very last second before the whistle is blown, right? Like it, in between the whistles for sure, because I mean Mazio's good kid, right? Has a lot of respect for the game, has a lot of respect for his opponents most of the time. But he is really confident in his abilities. And again, the Bennetts are awesome family. I've gotten the pleasure to meet Mr. Bennett, Mazio Bennett Sr. A little bit as through Mazio's recruitment. So I think the wide receiver room is really, really good right now. So Peyton Little asks, when do players report for fall camp? I believe it is August 1st or 2nd. One of those days will report, and then camp is kicking off. Crazy. Batman Gummies asks, could I see Mazio get some playing time? Yeah, I think he is. At some point this season, we're going to see some Mazio Bennett. I think it'll be towards the tail end, simply because they have a little bit more depth at the wide receiver room. But again, this kid is undeniable, right? I think Mazio is one of those kids where, if he's not seeing the field, he's going to work his way to see the field, right? And he's committed. South Carolina did right by him. And so he wants to be here. He's got family here. I think, he's going to see some playing time towards the end of the season. If I had to take a guess at it. So it just simply because, his competition is next level, right? Kid loves to compete and, makes everybody around him better, not just other wide receivers from watching, seeing what he can do, but also the DBs, right? I mean, he loves the back and forth between DBs, corners, whatever, and wide receivers. So, and winning that one-on-one battle. So, yeah, I think Mazio Bennett's a dog and is going to be a dog, a really good one for South Carolina. So, what about Tyshawn Russell? I think he looks solid. Yeah, I think Tyshawn Russell's going to, also be another depth piece. We'll see him. I mean, he's got a little bit of length too out on the edge. And so, could be interesting to see. I think he's the wild card in this room, Batman Gummies, if you will. I think because Bennett's the star freshman that's coming in, and that everyone, and like I just said, everyone knows, kind of about him and what he's about. But then Tyshawn Russell's kind of the, my wild card, right? Next to the two transfers. Russell, he did look good last season. But again, he's one of those guys that you don't really know what you're going to get. And I think that goes for the rest of this wide receiver room too, because it really does. It goes to show you that, anything, I think this wide receiver room is anything can happen. And the fact that Mike Furry, the guy who formerly led the NFC in receiving yards, somebody who's seen it before and who is unbelievably motivated to be at the Division I level and at a place like South Carolina, I think it's going to be just fine in the wide receiver room. But again, there's so many unknowns, and I understand like it is kind of the one position where we're like everybody is just kind of like we're not really sure. Like I mean, minus Nick Harbor, right? The most OP player in college football 25, which is probably a fun title to have and whatever. And I'm sure Nick is probably playing the game already, but and I'm sure having boatloads of fun. Peyton says best chance for an upset this season where the teams fall on the schedule. So my upset pick is OU. I think either Oklahoma. I don't think you stand a chance in Alabama, but again, I could be wrong. I think OU is kind of your best upset bid this season. I don't think you're gonna beat again Bama. Like I said, Missouri. I think you should be on the same. Is it really an upset if you beat Missouri? Like I don't think so. If and we'll get back into college football 25 in a second, but I don't think it's an upset if you beat Missouri, right? As good as they are and as a top 10 team or whatever they are, oh man, I don't think it's I don't think it's a very big upset if you beat Mizzou. I don't know if Kentucky's an upset necessarily. Yeah, I mean, I guess OU. My only concern with that OU game is that, like, if it's a noon kick, and I think it is leaning towards a noon kick. I think if it's a noon kick, you're toast. I don't know. For some reason, I have a very big, stigma against noon kicks on the road in the SEC, or just in general, noon kicks on the road for anybody. Especially when they're the longer the distance, the worse it is too, because you're going in. The team that you're playing is well prepared. They're at home. They're comfortable. You're uncomfortable. You've been on a flight for God knows how long. Last couple of days, your body hasn't readjusted. But I don't know. I guess my long story short is Oklahoma. I don't know if an upset. Is Clemson an upset too? Who knows. So, but we'll see. And Batman Gummy's making a good point. Or we'll get to William. I think there will be a rush first offense this year, especially with Sean Elliott. Yeah, and we'll get to this. But yeah, Oklahoma's offensive line looks poor. Well, it's mostly just a question mark. He follows up with, so it really is. And I think, if our defensive line, South Carolina's defensive line plays up to the standard that it should, should be just fine, right? You're going to be just fine. And on paper, this defensive line looks really, really good, man. Looks good. Knocking on wood that everyone performs and all that and whatever. But this defensive line looks like the best it's been in years too. So absolutely. Oh, that's right. I thought Oklahoma was a road game. Peyton says, good choice. Trap game for Oklahoma, sandwich between Texas and at Ole Miss. Yeah. Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss is a home game. And then I don't know, you could can you imagine if the Ole Miss. So yeah, Ole Miss is crazy. Juice Wells returns to Williams-Brice Stadium. I don't know, that could be a big upset game too. For sure. So yeah. Peyton, congrats on the pick. Appreciate it. Batman Gummies, it's a road game. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Oklahoma is kind of I don't know. Ole Miss too. I kind of forgot about that game. Not necessarily that it was on the schedule or anything, but the fact that there is going to be all the hype and there are a lot of guys still on this squad that played with Juice Wells and probably felt a little betrayed from all the antics, or kind of. I'm sure they were kind of sick of the antics at that point. But yeah, like I don't know. I got Ole Miss, Oklahoma, either or right there, but. Yeah, William, I did want to say this. Rush first offense this year, especially with Sean Elliott. This is a good point. This is a really good point. Sean Elliott is a scary coach, and we'll get them running the football. If anyone's going to help them run the football, it's Sean Elliott, right? And even though he's coaching tight ends, still helping with the run game, which is going to be awesome, right? You have a running back room that is full of dogs, absolutely full of them. Oscar Attaway is going to be a stud. I think Rocket Sanders, again, he can stay healthy, stud. Jawarn Howell is going to be a stud. And I think Jawarn Howell is going to be just a dog. In the next coming years, I think he's going to be huge for obviously depth this year, but two, I think he's going to explode and be your running back one by the time this is all signed, sealed, delivered, and we're sitting here going into next season, right? So I think you're loaded. You were primed for a good season running the football, and if you can't run the football, it's going to be like last season all over again, where you just can't, right? You can't win any football games if you can't run the football. So, there's that. Batman Gummies says the time for the game isn't revealed for Ole Miss, right? Yeah, I think Ole Miss is a flex game. I think that was one of those flex ones where it could be 3:30 or it could be a night game. If Ole Miss a night game, man, oh man, do I feel bad for any Ole Miss fans that wander into Williams-Brice Stadium that day, because if Ole Miss a night game, this whole fan base will have all the time in the world to get all bourboned up and make sure they get their 2 cents in on Juice, man. And that's the best part about it too. Rivalries in the SEC and Juice having to deal with consequences of transferring to another SEC school, man. Like it's how it is. It really means more. So if it's a night game, yeah, Batman Gummies. If it's a night game, they're on upset alert. Yeah, because everyone's you have it really, like, that is part of the strategy of a night game. Everyone gets to tailgate for quite a bit beforehand. And so, they get a little bit louder. You get a little bit more into the game. And now with students, sometimes you might not get into the game and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. So it'll be interesting. Terrible. Williams has terrible towels. Yeah, no. We'll see, man. We'll see. But that Ole Miss one's going to be a fun one. If I had to circle anything on the schedule, it's probably Ole Miss. Going to Alabama is going to be sick. It's going to be awesome. So I don't know. Do want to hit a couple quick ads before I close things down tonight. Appreciate everyone tuning in to this edition of the walkthrough, obviously, and keep chatting as the night rolls on. But do want to make sure I hit these real quick. So first off, our show is brought to you by our good friend Clint Hammond, the Movement Mortgage Network. Need help with your mortgage? Call on our good friend Clint Hammond of the Movement Mortgage Network. He's been in the mortgage industry since 2003, which allows him to help everyone from the first-time home buyer to the complicated and complex jumbo buyer. Whether you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance, nothing is more important than a well-thought-out financial strategy that comes with 5-star customer service. He's even helped out our very own Wes Mitchell and former Gamecock quarterback Perry Worth with their mortgages. So give our guy Clint a call. His number's on your screen right now, and you can also find him at clint.hammond.com, 803-422-6797. Once again, visit him at his website, clint.hammond.com, or give him a ring, 803-422-6797. Today's show is also brought to you by Andy Luedecke, myperfectfranchise.net. Are you ready to leave the corporate rat race for the American dream, looking for a side hustle while working your current job, wanting to diversify, build wealth, and or leave a legacy? Andy can help. Andy is a franchise consultant as well as a franchise owner. It helps people find franchises that fit their skill sets, financial requirements, and time to commit, and more. His services are 100% free. Andy's here to help. If you have any more questions about business ownership, give Andy a call or visit him or shoot him an email, andy@myperfectfranchise.net. You can also call him 404-973-9901. Once again, 404-973-9901. Again, shoot him an email, andy@myperfectfranchise.net. Getting in, wrapping things up here. Appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. Big show as always. But yeah, kind of looking at it next couple of weeks. As always, Tuesday, Mike and I will be live for GC Live Talking Tuesdays. Should be a whole lot of fun. Plenty to break down from SEC Media Days. And then also later this week or next Sunday, I will have a stream of College Football 25. Yes, that's right. I will be playing my Xbox on stream. You guys we'll start an online, or we'll start a dynasty with South Carolina. And so we'll run through that, have a couple guest play callers, see what we can do, and get it going. But I'm excited. Maybe have you guys pause it and call some plays from the comments too. Batman Gummy says that wide receiver transfer from Nevada is a big boy. Yes, he is. I believe he's 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". Don't have the number off the top of my head. I can pull up the roster, but yeah, I think he's going to get in, and again, more depth. But Harbor's going to be your big target as of now. And everything that we're hearing. But I think having the kid from Nevada is certainly advantageous, but I don't know if he's on the same level as Harbor or not yet. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll be interesting to see where kind of the depth chart and where he shakes out in the grand scheme of things in that room as things go along. But yeah, again, next week, College Football 25 stream, and we'll see again. Get you guys calling some plays from the comments. See if you guys enjoy that the content. We'll keep things rolling. But if not, we'll definitely switch it up. But yeah, be sure to tune in next week. Again, Mike and I will be live for Talking Tuesdays per usual, and get things rolling as always. So if you missed any of our show tonight, any of my show tonight, be sure to subscribe to the Gamecock Central YouTube channel. And when you do, there will be a little bell icon next to it, next to the little subscribe button on YouTube. Be sure to hit that and make sure you don't miss us next time we go live for any of our GC live shows. So again, appreciate everyone tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.